my sweet friends, I hope you are all doing well. Welcome to day 5 of our 12 days of Christmas in July series. If you're just joining in, you can find links to the first 4 days at the top of the description so you can stay caught up. And if you're new around here, I hope you will consider joining my crafty little family by hitting the subscribe button. And don't forget to listen for the question of the day. Today's project was originally planned to be using pattern papers and a sticker sheet to create with, but it evolved into a scrapping your stash of previously used collections project. So if that sounds good to you, then stick with me and we'll make it together. So we're working with the Holidays collection from Simple Stories. And as I mentioned, I did plan to use this sticker sheet along with the pattern paper for my finished project today. But as I was working along, it occurred to me that this might be a good use for our stash paper. And I know for myself, when I'm working with collections, I either wind up going through all the pattern paper and having the cut parts left over, or the opposite. I worked through all of the images that I wanted to use and I still had paper. So I thought it would be good to share a project that was going to be using just the pattern paper. You could obviously embellish your project further by including these sticker sheets, but it's not necessary. And I think this is a good use for those collections that are gently used that we have in our stash so that we can move on to get new paper. So to create our accordion box, we have 2 different parts. One is going to be the sturdy cover. And so I have 110-pound cardstock cut to be 5 3/4 high by 10 inches wide. It's scored at 4.5 and also 5.5. So you're going to get a very generous spine there. I do want to make the outside of this even sturdier, so I'm going to come in with an additional layer of our 110-pound cardstock. This is 5 3/4 by 9 and scored at 4.5. I'm going to use that to wrap the front and back cover to make this box a very sturdy. So of course I'm going to use my 2 glue combo, and I'm just going to bring these together so that I'm right up against that score and straight along the bottom and the side. Then I will add some glue to this side as well, and then just press that over. Not only are we increasing the sturdiness, but we're also giving ourselves a nice finished edge here. So I will just repeat that process for the other side. Okay, so now we have our sturdy cover all ready to go. I'm just going to set this aside and we can work on the accordion portion that will be inside this cover. To start that accordion portion, I'm starting with 5 A2 size cards made with this pretty pink cardstock. This will be a top folding card. For 2 of these cards, I've added adhesive to one side, and I'm going to combine them with a second card, and I'll just bring that corner in to the score and straight across the bottom and the side. And that will be a fold at the top. I'm going to repeat that process for 1 more. So now I've used 4 of our cards to create these 2 sections. I still have 1 card here remaining, and the first thing I want to do is find where these portions would go on the outside. So this would connect here, and then we have our first peak on the top, and then we will go down to a valley. I have that 3rd card here that will be joined to this one, and then we have our 3rd section that will be joined to the cover on this side. So to combine these 3 sections, I have cut my cardstock to be 3 inches high by 2 inches wide and scored at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and 1.5. And I've added tape to these sides here so that I can use them to join these sections together. So now that I know where my orientation is, I'm going to fold that in half with the folded part on the inside. So now I have to join the next two together. So I'm bringing that together at the top, and I'll repeat that process for these two as well. So I'm lining that end up there. And then adding the next card to it and connecting it on the other side by pressing the other flap into place. So you can see we're beginning to build our accordion. I would just repeat that process for this next set. And remember that our folded center needs to go in between the cards. So let's just line this up along our work surface so that the bottoms are nice and level, and then push that section in between, top it with the next card, and then push that over to create the accordion for the inside. And it will fold out this way. So the last one we want to do is these two, and we'll repeat that same process to join them. So now we have all of our pieces joined on this side with our smaller folded portions, combining them. Let's just go ahead and repeat that process for the other side. Okay, so now we have our accordion portion finished. We do want to add it to that sturdy cover. So I have my cover cut to be just slightly larger than my accordion portion here. So there will be a little bit of a border showing all the way around. And I want to only attach this at the top because I want there to be extra room at the bottom to accommodate the layers of pattern paper that we're going to be adding to it. We don't want our pocket to be too full before we start finishing it with all of the photos and the fun details. So the first thing I want to do is find about an inch here on the top. I've put my adhesive there, so that would indicate how far down I want this to be adhered. Definitely time for the 2 glue combo. I'm just going to run that there. And the best way to get this lined up is to press that down onto its spine and right into that corner, so you know you have it positioned where it will work properly, and then press that into place at the top. The adhesive tape will hold that while the glue sets up, so we can continue to work along here. I'm just going to pull the backing off of this side. And I'll add my tombow as well. So now I'm going to fold that back up and let the accordion loose a little bit on the bottom. And I'm just flipping it so that I can see how far over it is. And I'm pushing that into place so that it will be adhered to that cover. So now you can see we have a great amount of space on the inside to fill with all of our inserts. So let's go ahead and start working on those. I think for a project like this, it's nice to have repeating elements so that you can batch cut them and assemble them and have this filled up quickly and easily. And I've decided that for each of the sections inside, we have 4. I want it to have 1 folded insert and 1 tab top. So now I'm showing you how wide this is, and that measurement will fit directly into here without interfering where the indentations are for our accordion piece. We don't want to add a lot of bulk beyond the outside, so when we fold it, it will fold properly and not get too much bulk in this accordion piece. So I have 4 of these pieces cut. They are 4 1/4 high by 8 1/2 wide. So I'm going to assemble this where it will open on the side. Even though we're going to put it into the box with the fold on top, I do want it to work as a side folding insert. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish that with our pattern paper and our cardstock. The cardstock for this is going to be 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, and the pattern paper is a 4-inch square. For 2 of these, I was able to cut all of the squares from 1 piece of 12 by 12 cardstock just by cutting them into 4-inch pieces, and that would take 8 to cover all the surfaces. For the 9th one, I cut my 4-inch square in half. I'm using that as a layering pattern so that I can utilize all of that pattern and not create scrap. So for the front page, I'm going to utilize the square that I have added the layering piece to. So this would just be the A side and the B side showing together. And now you have 3 areas on the inside to finish. You could also include maybe a doily or a special photo mat to the cover. For each of the 4 sections, I want to include a tab top insert. And so I just cut my pink cardstock to be 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then I cut myself a 2.5-inch tab here with my envelope punch board, and then I clipped off the excess so that this tab would stick up beyond the surface. I'm gonna finish that with my pattern paper here, and it is cut to be 3 1/4 by 4, and that way I'll get a nice border all the way around of that pattern paper. And this would be a great place if you have that sticker sheet to add a sentiment there on the top. And once again, I'm using the A and B sides of this pattern paper so that I don't add it to my scrap bin. So each one of the 4 sections will get a folded insert and a tab top insert. Let's go ahead and add these now. So remember, we're putting our folded insert with the fold up, and that will go right into the front. For this one, I have the reverse of that. So I've got the writing on the main part and the Santa images on the layering section. For this one, I've got a dot and a plaid. For the last section, I've got the reverse, so my plaid is on the bottom and the dot is layered on top. Now you can see how nice and full this has gotten. There will be room in here to add additional flat keepsakes and mementos. You just want to make sure not to overfill it so you don't get too much of a wedge shape, but you do want to cover the outside. Before I add my pattern paper, I do want to include some ribbon so that I can tie this closed. Normally I would want to wrap that around, but I want the bottom to be a flat surface so it will sit properly. So I'm just going to measure out the length of this beautiful coral rose mini check ribbon that I wish to use, and I'm going to secure each side with my hot glue that will tack that into place, and it will be well secured between the pattern paper and the base. I'm going to flip that over and see where that would line up. Okay, so now I have my ribbon trim secured in place, and I want to finish the outside with my collection paper. So my cardstock is 4 3/8 by 5 5/8. The pattern paper is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm just going to center that right onto the book. For the front, I did have one of the 4 by 6 cut apart sheets available, and so I just decided to clip off one of those so that it will fit into the dimensions, and it's kind of a large overall image. You don't have to use a cut apart, you could just use more of the pattern paper and it would be very nice. I just wanted to use it since I had it, and so because this is such a large image, it is going to limit where I can add my additional details. So of course I'm seeing that the only place for florals is at the bottom. And so I've created my arrangement to be very flat. It's just my cinch and go poinsettias. There's some netting and some loopy twine bows and lots of die cut foliage. I'm going to center that here right along the bottom. Got a couple little snowflake charms, and I think a natural place to add these would be to add them where those berries are layered over top of the Y. Covering those cut strings with a button. Just going to tie this up now. I'll come back in now and trim the tails so that they don't fray. We'll just add a couple little sequins here to this side to balance the charms. So it is time for the question of the day. Would you document the holidays in a traditional scrapbook, a mini album, or a December daily style of memory keeping? I would have to say for myself that although I am a December daily dropout, I have not actually ever finished one. I do enjoy that format of a traveler notebook style where I'm adding all of my memories and keeping them for the whole month of December, the whole holiday season. So let me know down in the comments what style of memory keeping you would most likely do for the holiday season. So that is all for day 5 of our 12 Days of Christmas in July series. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for day 6. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know in the comments and give me a big thumbs up for this tutorial. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. And remember, you can find links to all our socials as well as the products I mentioned in this video in the description below. As always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.